Hey, what's going on? Coach Luka here, back with another Ask Luka. And today I'm going to take you a little bit, kind of coach you. Let's just say I'm just going to coach you through a tutorial of somewhat like what we do with our nutrition. And, you know, there's going to be some boundaries here. Okay, what I mean by that is boundaries in a sense of, I always hate the tightrope, right? The tightrope is meal plans. The tightrope is very I would say, rigid plans, right? You got to do this because it makes people feel like, oh no, like if I get off this tightrope and I make a mistake, I'm wrong, and then it just starts this downward spiral into the same habits or the same, I would say, patterns that you've had. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about some concepts and some habits that we create boundaries around, and people can then kind of like pick and choose, and we work together on helping them succeed in changing their lifestyle nutrition. Now I'm gonna kind of make not just a bold statement, but just say that saying lifestyle changes, should pop out at you right now, because I don't care what you can do for 8 weeks or 12 weeks. I care what you can make as a full-time change, a forever change, which is why habit change is, so important. And literally some research that I read lately, and I've talked about, the importance of habits and how taking on too many, the success rate drastically falls. But literally, I read some research on that, taking on multiple habits at once, over one, like it almost has 100% like fail rate. So with that said, this is where the power of what I'm going to talk about comes in. Now, the first thing on these boundaries, we can call them habits list, is tracking and journaling. Okay. Now, the reason why tracking and journaling is so important is because it's an assessment, right? Essentially, assessment precedes awareness, and awareness precedes change. Now, whether you're journaling in a literal journal, right, on paper, or you're doing something through like MyFitnessPal or My Macros Plus, it doesn't matter. The number one thing that we have people start doing right off the bat is to start journaling and tracking what they're eating. Not for the purpose of saying, hey, you have to hit these numbers. Hey, you gotta be in these macros. It's not because of that. It's just so that it creates assessment and awareness of where people are. And I promise you that if you start doing that, you'll automatically go like, holy shit, like what am I doing here? What's going on here? And it creates that awareness to where people start automatically changing, seeing that there's better choices that they can make. Okay, so that's number one on the list. No matter where you are, you gotta start creating some concepts. Just like if you're running a business and you don't have a profit and loss statement, you don't have what's incoming, what's outgoing. If that happens, guess what? Like your business is gonna fail. Like you don't know what's going on at all. You don't know what changes to make. You don't know how to course correct. So that was basically boundary, or should I say habit number one. Number two is plan, prepare, and cook. And the reason why this is so important is because no matter what plan you're on, right? And like I said, if you're listening to this and you said, hey, look, I'm gonna go paleo, or I'm gonna go this, or I'm gonna go that, I'm not gonna judge you on that at all. No matter what plan you choose, what coach you're working with, what diet, a meal plan book you got, like planning, preparing, and cooking is one of the boundaries that will significantly help you make changes in your life. And the thing is, because it's, preparation, you're ready for it. And one of the things that I love to talk about is like, if you do not have a path and a plan, your default will be struggle, right? So think about that. There's no path or plan, default or struggle. If you don't plan, prepare, and cook, your default will be going back to the same patterns you were before, whether that's, having lunch in the cafeteria that's not really serving you the food that you want, being possibly around people that are encouraging you to have foods that don't fit your goals. So at the beginning, plan, prepare, and cook may just mean, hey, let's just work on breakfast. It doesn't mean overhaul your whole day, your whole week, whatever it may be. It may just mean changing one meal, right? And the thing is, if right now you're eating 3 to 4 meals a day and none of them match your goals, and you start having one meal a day that starts matching your goals, guess what? Like you're changing 33 or 25% of everything that you do and realigning it. Guess what? That's gonna get you results. Like you're gonna see changes in how you feel, your body, whether it's dropping weight, improving energy, and it's not overwhelming, right? Now, if you're taking on 2 different habits, 2 different meals, great. One of the things that's really helped us or our clients, and for me too, that I'm starting to do is having meals ordered, right? Whether it's Paleo Box or Physique Kitchen, or you have local meals in your area that have organic, grass to take. From fresh things. Let's just say it's like fresh organic foods that you get delivered to you. And for me, it's just lunch, right? Usually I just work and I push through lunch where I should be having a meal. So now when I get 5 meals delivered for me every week, guess what? I'm not missing it. I'm preparing for that, right? So it doesn't just plan, prepare, and cook doesn't mean that you have to cook it. You might have a service that helps you with that. So hey, maybe in the morning now you're doing a power smoothie that's helping you out. You get lunch somewhere else and now you just have to take care of dinner, right? So that's why plan, prepare, cook is a boundary, right? It's kind of like a principle that we're always gonna abide by, and we're just gonna build up on this. Now, as I'm saying this, just remember this. When we start, maybe all we want you to do is like track and journal for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And that will make changes because of the awareness. And then we're gonna start planning, preparing, and cooking. There is no black and white. There is no golden rule on how many days or how many weeks you should do something before you move on to the next step. Whatever you are able to handle, right? So I always say the magic question: how confident are you that you can do this 90% of the time on a scale of 1 to 10? How confident are you? If you're a 9 or a 10, it means that you should take on this habit, these principles. If it's less than that, it means that it's too complex and it's too overwhelming and you should make it smaller. Right? So that's the answer, the question you should always ask yourself out of any one of these basically guidelines and principles that I'm talking about. Number 3, this is it's seemingly small, but it's actually really big, and it's not drinking your calories and drinking enough water. Right? There's multiple things that happen here. I mean, water is so important, and just like our body's made up of 70% water. But on top of that, it's filling. Right? If you drank a glass of water before every time you eat, like studies even showed in 2 different groups that the group that did that, lost 4 times more body fat than the group that did it. The other thing shows that like 60 minutes after you drink water, your metabolism revs up for up to 29%, right? All these positive things. So now you're fuller, you're getting water, so you're not dehydrated. By the way, that's Theo getting buffed there in the corner. So that's the sound of the weights clinging, which is perfectly fine. But, so water may be seemingly small, but now all of a sudden, if you drink a glass or 2 of water before 3-4 meals a day, and it automatically makes you eat a little less, and you're eating 300-400 calories less, you're more hydrated, and you're not ingesting calories through things like sugary drinks or colas or fruit juices or like choca mocha, whatever you get at the coffee shops that are full of sugar, right? So you're drinking water, you're drinking tea. So that's another guideline. Once again, small thing that can get big results. Then from there, as far as macronutrients go, our first focus is how much protein you're getting, okay? And like protein is so powerful from the standpoint of what? 1, it's a very filling food. We need it for nitrogen balance, for building muscle. It's thermogenic, meaning you actually burn more calories digesting protein than you do carbs and fat, like a lot more, like 5 to 10 times more, right? So it's so valuable, and it's one of the, I would say the number 1 things that most people that are looking for building muscle and losing fat don't do is get enough protein per day. Now that should be around 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight, right? So if you're a 200-pound man, you should be getting 160 to 200 grams of per pound of body weight. If you're an obese, then you would want to hit the numbers that you're shooting for. So if you're, I don't know, at 250 pounds and you want to go down to 200, you'd take the 200 number and that's what you'd be shooting for, right? So the thing is, if you don't worry about anything else and we start splitting up your day and your meals and just making sure you get enough protein. So you do 4 meals a day. All right, let's get 40 grams of protein per meal in. And that's all you focus on. You don't worry about carbs. You don't worry about fat, any of that, right? Guess what's going to happen? You're going to be fuller every meal, right? You're going to be burning more calories because the food is more thermogenic, okay? And like I said, it's going to support your goals because it's going to support maintaining muscle, right? So that's very, very important. Now, as I'm going along, I hope you know that like these are the important ones, but it doesn't mean that they have to be in order. The tracking and journaling is for sure number 1. The plan, prepare, and cook is for sure number 2. And then the rest, we adjust based on a person. Although the protein and the water make a lot of sense for just about everybody, right? We can flip this around. Once again, there's no golden rule here. All right, beyond that, another one, right? Getting veggies in with every meal. When I say that, most people are like, oh my goodness, like I gotta get veggies in 4 meals in a day. Hey, look, if you're getting it 0 meals in a day, all we wanna do is start with 1 meal a day. And that's why I love greens drinks, whether it's the Onyx Greens drink or his Athletic Greens, two of my favorite, is, you take a spoon of that or a cup of that and put it into your protein shake or into your water. Bam, you got 6-7 servings of vegetables for the day. That can solve that problem, right? It's efficient. So once again, what do vegetables have and fruits too is fiber. They don't have a lot of calories. They got a lot of density. They'll fill you up and have a ton of micronutrients that you need, right? Because most people are deficient in these micronutrients. So that's another one that's very, very, very important. And it's one of those first ones that we want people to start doing. Next one is calories. Hey, look, when we start going, depending on where you're at and what your goals are, we got to start setting some guidelines for calories. But notice how we might not even get to that right off the bat. We're going to track and journal to see where you're at, maybe create some boundaries. But if you start changing these habits, you're going to see shifts in how you look and how you feel and how you perform, right? And as you adjust and as you kind of build these into your lifestyle, from there, you're going to be able to add the next one and go like, okay, now let's get you to 12 calories per pound of body weight and kind of keep you there. Now, for somebody that's been under eating, so this is very important. When I talk about calories, it's very important, as there are some examples like right now in our coaching programs where somebody has been under eating for a long time. So, example, even though they're their resting metabolic rate, I'm going to rewind that one. Their resting metabolic rate and how many calories they need per day just to live is at 1,800 calories. For a long time, they begin 1,000 to 1,200. Right? That's legitimately under eating, and you have this metabolic adaptation that's not good. Instead of just bumping them up to 2,000 right away, we're going to slowly ease them up and maybe go to 1,400 calories and let their body adjust and their metabolism adjust to that, and then go to 1,600 calories and so on until we finally get them to that number of where they should be, and then keep them there for a while till their body adjusts, and then possibly start cutting down calories to drop body fat. Okay, so that's something that's maybe a little bit more complex on a one-on-one basis, but a lot of people, when they undereat, they start seeing plateaus, and it's because they're not getting enough nutrients, they're not getting enough protein, their body is stalling because they're in survival mode, right? So it's important to understand why we're talking about some other stuff before we talk about calories. Now, one of the great habits too, for somebody that's looking to lose weight, is eating slower. This is literally a habit. It's another boundary that we can use as a tool. And what that is, one of the things is like setting a timer for 15 minutes and eating for 15 minutes. And you'd be like, you'll see how many times you actually eat in 5 or 3 or 7 minutes instead of 15. Because guess what? When you eat for 15 minutes, satiety kicks in and you actually feel fuller faster, right? Where it catches up and your brain goes like, okay, I'm full. See, if you really eat fast, you never get the opportunity for the body to actually go like, hey, you're full. Right? So in this country, a lot of times full actually is stuffed, right? Whereas full is truly 80% full, which is the next habit down the list that I want to talk about, is eating to 80% full, right? So you're not like, man, I can't eat anymore. See, that's not where we should be. And if you look at most cultures, it's like they talk about eating to 70% full, 80% full, right? That you should be able to, you should feel like you can eat more, but you're satisfied, right? There's a big difference between full and satisfied. And like I said, being conscious and aware of that is a huge thing, right? Just being mindful about it. And so once we get some of those in line, then there's healthy fats and carbs. Now, this depends, right? So if we got somebody like, for instance, Theo, when he started training here, and he's a mesomorph, I should actually say he's doing the bodybuilding pose in the back, getting all buff. But, his, the way that we broke down his carbs and fat was his carbs are way higher because he wanted to put on muscle. Somebody that's trying to lose body fat or has some insulin resistance issues, we're going to probably keep their carbs lower. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to eliminate them and go crazy low carb, but we are going to keep their carbs lower. So their protein is going to be consistent, their carbs are going to be lower, and their fat might be a little bit higher, right? But like I said, it's adjusted to the individual, their goals, their lifestyle. For an athlete or somebody who's working on performance training, we got to have those carbs in there. They're using a lot of energy throughout the day. So that's very, very important, okay? So I'm going to keep like I said, the boundary here, because that is it depends, right? It's it depends where you're at, what your goal is, and what your history is of dieting or where you want to go. Now, the last two things is going to be this, a gratitude journal. And most people will not bring this up, but I will, because it's such a huge factor that when people do not have a good relationship with food, that it's very important to have a gratitude journal and just be thankful for and grateful for, and focus on the things that are good in your life. What I mean by that is this. What do you love about your body? Write it down. Hey, what do you love about the healthy food that you ate today? Because it's very easy to focus on the wrong thing. Oh man, I wish I had that burger instead of the salmon salad, right? Instead of being like, hey, I'm really grateful for having this, this salmon salad or lettuce wrap or whatever it was that's fueling me for the day and helping me get leaner and feel better and feel more energetic. I'm proud of myself, right? So the thing is, when you do that and you bring gratitude into your life for the good things about yourself, about the things that you're doing, and you appreciate them, one, you start feeling better about yourself. Because when the relationship between you and yourself and food is negative, it's very hard to implement any of the other factors in there. Like all the things that I was talking about these boundaries, if it's not just about the food you eat, it's about who you are when you eat that food. It's very, very important. This is like deep neurological stuff that happens, right? If somebody goes like, hey, eat 6 meals a day and every one of them is tilapia and asparagus and some rice, and do that for 4 months, what you start doing, and if you start hating that and you believe that that's what it takes to get leaner, you start basically hating, like, oh, tilapia and this means this, and I don't like that, I hate that. It means if I want to get lean, I got to eat like this, right? You start neurologically like embedding things in your brain to where this equals that. It's like Hebb's law, right? So we gotta bring in the gratitude, understand that, like, hey, like you don't have to be insanely strict. There's just, if there's a continuum, right? And on this end of the line is death, and on this end of the line is optimal health. We're all somewhere in between. And all we're trying to do is move the dial closer to optimal health. We may never get there, but we're just trying to move the dial and like that becoming part of our lifestyle versus like, hey, 8 weeks to ripped, right? And then 12 weeks to unripped, and then 8 weeks to, six-pack abs, and then 16 weeks to beer belly. Like, that's the thing, is like whatever move we make, we want to make it consistently, right? And so the last 1/2 things is environment. Look, environment triggers behaviors. What I mean by that is this, social triggers, food triggers, whatever it may be. If currently you're in an environment that's taking you down the road of, you know that you want to start training to start getting in better shape, but you are in environments that do not trigger that, then you need to change an environment. Same thing as far as like environments, you go to a cafeteria that doesn't serve any food that fits your goals, you need to change the environment and start having a capacity and a possibility of, having your behaviors match your goals. Same thing with people or food triggers. It's like the expectation of, I'm going to use my willpower to not eat the 30 cookies I have in my cupboard. Now just get rid of the cookies, right? The environment is triggering your behavior. But if you don't have the cookies and you make kale chips and Greek yogurt with a scoop of protein and then blueberries that's matching your goals and you still like that, right? Then you're winning. And the thing is like, what are the things you love and like, right? Nutrition and habits shouldn't be things you don't like doing. Is it going to be challenging to change? Sure. But what are all the foods that you love? Do you love, a burger? Great. Instead of doing 2 pieces of bread, do 1, put some avocado in there, do this, do that. Like, just eat the foods that you love, but that fit within that fit within the goal that you want to achieve. Okay, because here, our perfect is 90-10. What that means is that if 90%, honestly, if 85, 90% of the time, you eat in line with your goals, 10 to 15% of the time you can eat whatever you want. Whether that's Twinkies or croissants, which is my thing because I'm like a pastry guy, right? Then you will still have great results, because that's true lifestyle. Like, you should not feel restricted, like, I can't do this, I can't do that. As soon as you start doing that, your brain ends up going, oh, I can't? Okay, right? You're gonna want it more. It's just like how we're wired. So rather than that, know that you can have whatever you want. It's your choice. And that will eliminate some of the stress, right? So remember, perfect is 90-10. So if right now you're at like 20-80, and next week and in 2 weeks you're at like 30-70, and 4 months from now, you're at 70-30, and 8 months from now, you're at 80-20. You are winning. You're winning. But if you believe that you're at 20-80, and in 2 months you want to be at 95-5 or 100 or 90-10, right? Like, that expectation is going to stress you the hell out, because you're going to be like, you're so stressed and anxious that you got to be there, right? All you want to do is move forward every single day. And remember that the word success comes from succession, the next thing. So as long as you're doing the next thing and getting better, you are winning. All right, so you got these boundaries, and from these boundaries, you can start doing something. So after you watch this video, guess what? Do something, right? Don't look at the whole thing and go like, this is overwhelming. Start tracking and journaling your food. My Macros Plus, MyFitnessPal, Greatest, whatever it may be, and just see where you're at. And do that for a week. And then next, plan, prepare, and cook. Pick one meal, just one meal that you know that you could do better with, and just change that one meal. And like the next thing, start drinking water before every meal. Like cut out all the calorie-containing beverages. And then the next thing, go and have enough protein in a day. Guess what? You got plenty of habits to change for like 2 months, maybe even 3. And if you just do those, I promise you, you'll be ahead of where you are right now on that continuum, and you'll be feeling better, you'll be leaner, you'll perform better, and you'll be happier. All right, so if you got any questions about what I just talked about anything else nutrition, because we're doing a lot of live Q&A, Code Ethio, me, and we'll be touching on everything, then let us know, put it down in the comment section. I'll be back with another session of Ask Luka, and I'm out.